class, I want to talk with you about the drapery project, also known as the mystery of the wrapped object. And the first thing you're going to want to find is an object to conceal. So I'm choosing to conceal a lamp. Next, you're going to want to find fabric to conceal it with. So bed sheet works fine. You want a thinner fabric, but not something so thin that it's very transparent. Okay, but you also don't want something so thick that it just doesn't create nice. You also want something so thick that it doesn't create nice folds. Okay, if you get like a big, pillowy blanket on here, you're not gonna get that interesting of folds. Okay, so not so thin that it's transparent, but not so thick that you don't get any interesting folds. Okay, and then the other important thing is lighting. Your goal is to create the most dramatic shadows because those are the easiest to draw. And what I would suggest doing is trying to get the light to come from one direction. Okay, and you could do that by shutting all the lights off, like I did, and then just opening the windows. Opening one window. That's one solution. The other solution is to cover up all the windows and then get a strong lamp and place it, on one side. Okay, what you don't want is lighting coming from all the directions because you're not going to be able to see very strong shadows, and it's going to be difficult to draw. What I did here is I placed my bed sheet on the lamp, and then I got the end of it, and rather than put it on the floor, and I didn't want to get my bed sheet dirty, so I don't want to do that. So I decided to put a nail into the wall up high, and then hang the other side of the sheet on the nail. Okay, so that's my little setup here, and then I set it on a table. Okay. If you'd like, you could also put something dark against the background. That might make it easier to see the values, but I think this is fine as it is. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to experiment with different compositions, okay? And we'll pull back the viewfinder. If you remember, we made that at the beginning of the semester. It has cardboard and a floss crosshair. Use this to make several thumbnails, okay? And really consider the negative spaces that are created and what you think can create the most interesting composition. Okay, so try it from different angles, okay, different points of view. Try zoomed in, zoomed out, and make several thumbnails. I'm not going to be collecting these thumbnails, but they're going to be helpful to creating an engaging composition. I'm going to talk with you about how to do the drapery drawing, and you're going to be taking a similar approach as you did with the charcoal still life. Hello class, I want to review with you the difference between vine charcoal and compressed charcoal. Okay, and the easiest way to know the difference is to look on the package. Okay, you're going to be using vine charcoal to tone the paper and also to establish your proportions and block in your lights and your shadows. This is more easily erasable and malleable. Compressed charcoal, which comes in these pencils as well as sticks, is going to be used to develop your drawing after you've established it in vine charcoal. It's harder to erase and goes on a little bit darker. Okay, so right now we're using vine charcoal. So you're going to start off with a gesture drawing. Okay, and then you're going to pick a basic unit, okay? And the basic unit's going to be used to measure all the other dimensions of your drawing. And I'm going to pick as my basic unit the base of the lamp, okay? And I'm going to use the base of the lamp to make my other measurements. I know you can't see the full base of the lamp from the photo, but I can see it from where I'm looking. Okay, so I'm realizing from here to here should be 3 lamp widths. 3 widths of the base of the lamp. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's where I have it. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at it, and what you want to do is you want to look for the major edges, okay? And try to simplify it at first as much as possible. So there's a lot going on here, but you're going to want to simplify it, okay? Otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed. So I know there's a lot of little creases, but you're looking for the biggest ones. Then you're going to start to block in the lights and the shadows, okay? So really pull your perception back and try to simplify each fold, each little group, into 2 values, okay? A light and a shadow. So I'm looking at this whole area right here, and I know there's a lot going on there, but I'm gonna really just simplify it, okay? And I see into 2 values. I see there's a nice light right here, okay? Pull that out. Okay, now I'm gonna come in with my Vine charcoal. Okay, I'm gonna start to establish the shadows, okay? In a very simple way with the Vine charcoal. Okay, now I'm not gonna get this too dark, but just to start to establish it. What's going on? Sometimes with the Vine charcoal, there's like an outer layer that's hard on it. And you kind of have to. Okay, we don't have to go too dark, okay? I don't want you to go too dark with this. I know this is black, but don't worry about making it black yet. Now, once you've done it in the vine charcoal, you blocked in the lights and the shadows, you're gonna come through with the compressed charcoal, okay? And we're still keeping things simple, but now we're gonna start to pull more of the full range of values that are present in our forms out. Okay, and I like to establish, one of the darkest areas first, okay, like this background, and that'll help me to create a reference point for the rest of my drawing, okay? So I know this section on the left is quite dark, okay? I wouldn't say it's black, but it's a darker section, okay? And beginning to establish this will help me to get a better idea of what the other sections look like, or the value of the other sections are. Because values are relative. How light or dark something looks depends on what's around it. So once you have it broken down into two values, now we're going to look at these forms, and I would say try to break it down into four values. Okay, so it's simplified, but now let's start to develop it with more nuance. Okay, and as we're developing it with more nuance, begin to refine the edges. Okay, which edges are soft and which edges are hard. Okay, that's really important to drawing folds, is understanding the difference between a sharp and a soft edge, or a hard and a soft edge. And continue to look for, the light logic. Continue, use your understanding of light logic to draw this as well. Okay, look for the reflected light. Look for the shadow core. Okay, cast shadows. All those things are present in your folds. And remember, value is relative. How light or dark something is depends on what's around it. Every once in a while, pull yourself back. Step a couple feet away from your drawing and see what it looks like. And if you want to see how dark or light to make something, compare it to your other values. Okay? When you look at your drapery from life, compare the values, okay? And then when you go to your drawing, make those same comparisons. For example, when I'm drawing this, right here, I'm looking to see how it compares to this value. And I realize it's smidge lighter than this. Okay. And remember, our goal with this, and this type of drawing, and this type of value drawing, is to eliminate our lines, okay? We're not gonna have thick outlines like this. This is just to establish the proportions. Eventually, these will be eliminated. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm comparing against that value. And when I look, I realize this one's much darker. Okay, and this one, it's probably, I don't think it's any darker than it is right now. Possibly a smidge lighter. So I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. I'm gonna wipe it up a little bit with this toilet paper. Help to lighten it. And another thing is, don't make everything a highlight, okay? Only the lightest light should be highlights. Everything else should be a light gray. Okay, right now I'm looking for the reflected light. I'm pulling out that a little bit. If you think about it, the light hits right here, it bounces off, and then it goes and lightens up this section a little bit. It's pretty subtle, okay? You don't want to exaggerate it. Okay, I see the shadow core right here. I want to pull that out. So I think I made it a little too dark. So what I could do is I could come through with a little tissue paper, a little toilet paper, kind of line it up a bit. So I'm not going to go any further, but I'm going to give a little review of what's already been done. You're first going to start off by using vine charcoal. You're going to tone the paper. And using vine charcoal, you're going to establish the proportions, and you're going to block in the lights and the shadows. You're going to pull up your lights with an eraser and, block in your shadows as needed using the charcoal. At that stage, pretend everything's two values, okay? Now, once you've established that basis, then you're going to move over to compressed charcoal. Okay, that comes in pencils as well as the sticks. Okay, and using compressed charcoal, you're going to start to look at each fold and break it down into 4 values. Okay, I would also suggest establishing the darkest area and using that as a reference for the rest of your values. Okay, and as you're developing your drawing, refine the edges. Look for sharp edges. Okay, this is a sharp edge. Look for soft edges. Okay, this is a soft, well, I would say this is like a gradation, okay, but a soft edge, right, is created right here. Medium edges, okay, medium edge right there. Okay, so look for how soft or hard the edge is as you refine your drawing. Okay, so it starts off very general, very simple, and becomes more refined, and the value relationships become more accurate. Okay, so this is more the beginning stages of the compressed charcoal, and this is becoming more refined but not quite finished yet.